Om Shri Sai Ram. Dear students, welcome back to the 10th class State Syllabus Science Textbook 1 and the chapter Control and Coordination. Today, out of 6 parts of this chapter, we will be understanding about the part 4, which mainly deals with the central nervous system of human body, that is CNS, under that spinal cord. Before we pass on to the today's part 4 of central nervous system in human body about the spinal cord, let us recap the main points of our previous classes. In our previous classes, we understood under the chapter called the control and coordination, that plant control and coordination by tropism and phytohormones, nothing but plant hormones. And also, we further understood that in higher animals, the control and coordination by nervous system and endocrine system. Further, we continued that in human body, the nervous system consists of the neuron, which is the structural and functional unit of the nervous system in the body. Under that, we were discussing about the human nervous system, which is a broad process, and we divided it into 3 divisions, where the human nervous system, which helps in the control and coordination of the nerves under 3 divisions called as CNS, the central nervous system, PNS, the peripheral nervous system, and the ANS, the autonomic nervous system. Under that, our previous class, we continued with the first division called central nervous system, that is CNS, which mainly has the brain and the spinal cord. Under that, we discussed about the human brain. The human brain, further for our better understanding, we divided it into 3 major parts: the forebrain, the midbrain, and the hindbrain, where we dealt that the forebrain has the highest area covering in the brain part called as cerebrum, and also it has the diencephalon, which has the thalamus and the hypothalamus. The midbrain acts as a relay station for the forebrain and the hindbrain. The hindbrain has 3 parts: the cerebellum, the pons varolii, and the medulla oblongata. These are the main points which we had discussed in our previous class. And also, for our better continuity of this chapter, we had the home assignment, where the assignment 3, let us check out whether our answers are being perfect. The first question of the assignment 3 was, which part of the human brain carry out the following functions? Mastication, it is carried out by pons varolii. Water balance, it is being controlled by hypothalamus. Facial expression by pons varolii. Enzyme secretions by medulla oblongata. The second question, a person's right side of the body is being paralyzed. Which part of the brain is being injured? Answer, left hemisphere of the cerebrum. Left side of the brain. In the brain, the cerebrum, because the cerebrum is divided into 2 halves. Hope you all are recollecting our previous class, where the cerebrum, which is the 3/4 of the human brain, has two major halves, the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere. And also we understood cerebrum is the seat of consciousness, alertness, memory power, thinking, reasoning and willpower. So the right side of the body is paralyzed. It means the left hemisphere of the cerebrum is being injured. Hope all the children have written the perfect answers for the assignment 3. And today the part 4, which we are dealing with, the human nervous system, under that the first division central nervous system, under that the second major part spinal cord. We know that even the spinal cord along with the brain had 3 layers, the durameter, the pyometer and the arachnoid. Together we call them as meninges, which are going to protect as well as nourishes the spinal cord also. Along with that, the spinal cord is again been having an additional protective coat, which we called it as vertebral column. The spinal cord is a long and cylindrical structure which is passing through vertebral column. The continuity part of the medulla oblongata is termed as the spinal cord. In other words, we can tell that the continuity part of medulla oblongata spinal cord is the continuity part of medulla oblongata also. It has 31 pairs of mixed nerves. We have written 2 times, enough once if you tell it. Mixed nerves, if you recollect our previous classes, the 3 types of nerves, mixed nerves carry the function of both the sensory nerves and the motor nerves. That means mixed nerves carry the stimulations from the external surroundings to the spinal cord, as well as the same nerves carry the responses also to the effector regions. So they are called as mixed nerves, and all the 31 pairs are mixed nerves in the spinal cord. It has the outer cortex, which is a white matter having axons in it, and it is having an inner medulla, which is a grey matter having cytons in it. This is opposite to the brain. In the brain, the outer cortex is the grey matter, and in the brain, the inner medulla is the white matter. It is contrast to the brain in the spinal cord. In the spinal cord, the cortex is the white matter, which is axon, and the inner medulla is the grey matter, which is nothing but having cyton. The center, it is the center for reflex action. The spinal cord is the center for reflex action. Then what this reflex action is? Let us see. Reflex action, an automatic response to an external stimulus. It is an automatic response, sudden response to external stimulus. For example, when we touch a hot object, we withdraw our hand. Withdrawing the hand, when we touch any hot objects, immediately we withdraw our hand. It's a sudden, spontaneous, quick and automatic response to external stimulus. A hotness is being felt, the fire resembles the hotness, and immediately you are going to withdraw your hand. When we touch a hot object, we withdraw our hand. is an example for reflex action, and reflex action is carried out in spinal cord. Reflex arc, the pathway of the nerve impulse involved in reflex action is called reflex arc. It is called as reflex arc. It has 5 distinct parts. Number 1, the receptors, which are sense organs. They receive the stimulus. Receptor is a sense organ which receives stimulus. Sensory neuron, which conduct the impulse from the receptor to spinal cord. Association neuron transmit the impulses from sensory neuron to motor neuron. Motor neuron, the impulse pass on to an effector. Effector, the action takes place in response to the stimulus. So, the 5 distinct parts of reflex arc are the receptor, the sensory neuron, the association neuron, the motor neuron, and the effector. From the exam point of view, a very important question. Explain the steps of reflex arc, or what is reflex arc? Explain the process with an example. If you observe the diagrammatic picture here, you can observe a candle burning, and a person, it is the same hand, is touching the flame with his finger, and that is going to, so here finger represents the receptor. It is the skin that is there, touch, and the stimulus is this flame of the candle. So immediately the skin is the receptor, the finger which is carried by sensory neuron, and then you are going to see there the association neuron which enter through which carries it to the motor neuron, and it is being entered into the spinal cord. From the spinal cord, the response is being brought, and it is being carried by the motor neuron to the effector, and he immediately withdraws his hand from the flame. Receptor, sensory neuron, association neuron, motor neuron, and effector. This is the pathway traced for reflex action, which we called it as reflex arc. Assignment 4. Today's class, under the CNS of the human nervous system, we dealt with the spinal cord, which is of cylindrical shape, protected by vertebral column, having 31 pairs of mixed nerves, center for reflex action, and the path traced by the reflex action is called reflex arc. Hope all the children have understood today's concept of spinal cord under CNS, and for a better continuity, let us work out the assignment 4. What is reflex action? Give example. Explain reflex arc with an example. So to explain the process, the 5 steps of the reflex arc, each step with one example. Hope all of you have understood, and you all will follow up for the next coming class of the same chapter. Till then, have a good day. Thanking you one and all. Jai Sai Ram.